Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Freight Master Resources. Uh, in the video I did the other day, I thought, trying to come up with some different kinds of topics, and I thought that I would do one on freight sales. And kind of in light of, the pandemic going on right now, everybody on quarantine. I know everybody's kind of going stir crazy. Maybe some of your customers have been, on hold during the time being. So basically your book of business has shrunk. Maybe, depending upon how many clients you have, maybe none of them are doing anything right now, or you are brand new into it. Maybe you were just, a month or two. And just kind of wanted to do this so that you guys don't get discouraged or get complacent with prospecting. So before I get into that, if you guys could go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me, hit that bell notification, and that way you get to see all the future videos that I do. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So sales prospecting during this COVID-19 outbreak. All hope is not lost, okay? It's just maybe a little bit more difficult with, so many companies being shut down right now. So now is the time to keep building your prospect list. If you're new and, new to sales and, really not that comfortable with it, now's the time to really, take advantage of this, going over your pitch or your script or whatever it is you're doing, and if you guys need a list, by all means, I've got this 50% off right now. It's normally $50. There's 121,000 and change freight shipper leads on there. Some people are having really great success with it, even during the COVID-19 outbreak, So, if you're looking to, as an immediate way to build your prospect list, really great source right there for you guys. And as always, check out the Freight Broker Resources page. There's a lot of great information on there, going over, business structure, broker authority, all of that. A lot of other resources. We've got the classified section. And then, of course, there's always freight news. This gets plugged straight in from Freight Waves. So while you're there, maybe checking out whatever, if you guys want to check out some news. Then, of course, there's information on freight factoring and things like that. For you carriers, we haven't forgot about you. There is the truckersresource.com. Some information on the Loadstop TMS, factoring. There again. We've got a little bit slow loading there. Again, plugged in from Freight Waves and some other resources. We've got a classified section for you guys as well. And if you're new and looking to get into trucking, looking for a trucking school, we've got a list of a ton of them on there, in every single state. So, go ahead and check that out. So I guess without any further ado, let's get into what I have compiled for you guys. So as an overview, one of the first things you're going to want to do once you've, found a company that you want to prospect, finding that point of contact for the transportation department. All right. Number two, find out what their transportation needs are, whether it's, based on equipment type. So obviously, if they're shipping like steel coils, that's not going to go on a reefer. It's not going to go on a dry van. You know what I mean? I guess unless maybe it was, eye to the sky kind of stuff, like real small coils, maybe potentially it could go on a van. But predominantly, it's all going to be on flatbed. Knowing product, knowing commodity, a lot of times, will already tell you, and investigating the company a little bit, you'll kind of be armed with that information ahead of time. Getting your customer to offer you the freight. And obviously, number four, duplicating that process 500 times a week. Now, obviously, if you're still moving freight, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do. But if you're brand new getting into freight brokering, you know, sort of the old school rule of thumb is to do 100 sales calls a day. All right. And I've got a cold call, one of my cold call examples. It's my third one. I kind of like this one because it's short and sweet. And obviously, if you have a big long script that you're reading from, you know, to your sales prospect, it's taking up a lot of time on the phone, you know, and they might just at the end of it, you know, say, hey, well, all of our stuff's customer routed, you know. So anyway, but we'll get into that. And then as a caution, you know, don't let yourself get into the habit of, you know, negotiating strictly on price. All right, because we we want customers to find value in us, and you know that's in our service. So one of the things I always tell people that I train is to under promise and over deliver. Okay. And while negotiating on price, you know, might work in the short term, it can leave you kind of in a jam. You're working at smaller margins, or you might end up, you know, picking up freight that you just simply can't move. You know, depending upon what the market is doing. You know, obviously right now freight's a little easier to move because we're in such an overcapacity. You know, I'm not saying take advantage of carriers by any means. In fact, my margins have shrunk significantly over this, but we're still moving freight. All right. You know, and sometimes it's okay, you know, to, you know, obviously you want to be competitive, you know, to get your foot in the door, but don't make it your number one factor. All right. The bottom line is you're going to be calling a lot of people. Practice and experiment. All right. For you new guys, one of the things I always try to tell people, you know, and I've listened in on, you know, brand new agents' calls before, you know, and they stutter and they, you know, they get real nervous and things like this. You just have to remember, you know, those transportation managers, supervisors, logistics supervisors, whatever their title is, they're people just like you and I. Okay, so don't be all that intimidated. I've screwed up plenty of sales calls in the past. And you know what? I've actually gone back, regrouped, revisited those customers in like a month, gave them enough time to forget about me, turned right around and nailed it. All right? So, you know, don't lose all hope. Don't get yourself beat down. You know, stay positive about it. Stay upbeat, you know. And obviously when you call, you know, in light of everything that's going on, you know, it seems like I talk to a lot of people and it's just, you know, everything's sort of humdrum. Don't let that happen to you. You know, when you make those sales calls, be upbeat, you know, hey, this is Tim, you know, calling from, you know, XYZ, you know, how are you doing today? Great, fine, you know, and you might even take them off guard a little bit, which isn't bad, you know. But yeah, just be positive. All right, and that'll come through. You know, your confidence over the phone is going to come through. You know, if I were to call and say, "Hi, this is Tim," you know, no, they're going to probably pick me out to be a noob, and oh geez, you know, and they're just not gonna. You're not probably going to get very far. So yeah, find out what's best for you. I don't personally use a script, but you know, I did, you know, a little bit in the beginning. I'm not a real big fan of scripts, but you know, it does help, you know, as you're kind of learning and getting used to things, and before you know it, you're not even reading it anymore, you know. Excuse me. One moment. So, and yeah, you'll kind of get a feel, you know, for that person over the phone a little bit. You know, a lot of times, like I've said in, you know, previous videos that I've done, whether through my freight sales group, you know, or whatever, you know, I like to keep things short, sweet, and to the point. You Do you keep your options open for additional carriers or additional brokers? Whatever comes out of my mouth at that particular time. If they say yes, or, they might say, well, are you asset based or whatever? And be prepared to handle those objections. Brokers, for you brokers out there that aren't asset based, when you hear that, don't lose hope. Okay? Because, and you might hear that a lot. Or at least, 50% of the time when you're making these calls. Being asset based is not, the only thing that can get you in the door, because one thing that your prospect has to remember is that a lot of those assets are 99.9999999% of the time already working dedicated company freight, right? So the odds of, their freight getting on your trucks are going to be slim to none. And that's what always happens. They might set you up under your carrier authority and your broker authority, but you're going to end up brokering it anyway, 9 times out of 10. So it doesn't mean a whole lot. Remind them of that. And I flat out said that, well, you realize being asset based, the odds of it getting on our trucks is slim to none because they're already, filled up with, other dedicated freight. That being said, I have a large network of carriers that I work with on a regular basis, and that kind of a thing. And this sort of leads into this, my cold call example number 3. And I like this one because for you small fleet owners out there, this works for you as well. If you've got, half a dozen trucks or something, and maybe, you're all running the same lane, or you've got, 2 trucks running the same lane, whatever, and you want to go out there and get direct customers, this works for you too. So pay attention. Hello, my name is Tim with XYZ Company. I was calling about your plant in Atlanta, Georgia. If it's a manufacturing plant or whatever, you tweak it to whatever the needs are. We currently have 4 to 6 trucks weekly delivering in the Atlanta area, and I was wondering if you had any outgoing freight that we could help you with. I like it. It's short, sweet, to the point. You've already told the customer or the prospect that you've got capacity, that you've got trucks in the area, right? So it's not, hey, my load's going to end up on the load board. In fact, I prefer to keep my carrier relationships so tight that I can go into a sales call, especially if I know that I've got trucks working on a certain lane, but I need, loads back maybe, or, return load. I'll tell them, look, your loads will never see a load board. Flat out, your loads will never see a load board. So it's don't just worry about your customer contacts and things. You've got to keep those carrier contacts as well. You've got to take care of your carriers, you brokers. All right. So, anywho, I may do some more of these kinds of videos. For brokers and carriers on different sales techniques and things. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up. As always, visit the website, subscribe to the Facebook group, and I'll leave all the links down below in the description for you. And be kind to one another.